What's going on, guys? Origin here, and today I'm making a video talking about what makes a good raider. Now, I'm not going to be talking about how you can maximize your class or whatever, become a mythic raider, because to become a mythic raider, that entails a lot of things that you can't really teach. You know, the persistence, the desire, that's all stuff you got to figure out on your own. I'm mostly talking about the little things, the things like being prepared, your communicating, your awareness, attendance, and self-evaluation. Things that you can do very simply to try and become a more effective and better raider. So the first thing we're going to talk about is your preparation. Now, I'm not talking like, okay, I got a raid coming up tomorrow. I'm going to browse through a Fat Boss vid, and bam, all of a sudden I'm ready to go. Because, no, that doesn't work. Okay. Now, I'm not saying you have to watch every video, go through every guide, go through every forum, all that fun stuff. All you really have to do is, you could go through the dungeon journal, understand the boss, go through the mechanics and such, to where you will have a vague description of each boss mechanic and what they're going to do. And then like TLDR makes a really good video, like 2.5 minutes long or whatever. Always have your flask and pots, because unless your guild provides them, if you're not actually using flask, pots, and food, you are shorthanding yourself. Okay, you're not going to the raid prepared, and honestly, that's just lazy, and that kind of crap. Oh, hey, it's up, right? My dog's came downstairs. That kind of crap really just is not acceptable in any raiding environment. Okay, be prepared. The next thing I want to talk about is communication. Now, what I mean by communication mostly is, for example, understanding what your raid group is trying to do during a certain boss. Why it is you are going into the fight, with certain raid mechanics. Why it is, like, for example, on Mythic Goroth, why it is we have certain people who are going to be handling the infernal mechanics because they have a bubble, or why it is you're stacking the pillars because they're easier to bowl down. Just little things to make sure that you're on the same page with everyone else in your group, so there aren't those little mistakes that can cause wipes. And that kind of goes hand in hand with awareness. Next thing I want to talk about. Okay, and what I mean by awareness is knowing what is going on at any particular moment during the fight. Okay, like, for example, we'll use Kill Jaden, even just on heroic or normal. Going into phase 3, okay, you start to get the obelisks, you have to handle the orb. Basically all you got to do, okay? And then you also have the void zone deal that you got to go in and blah, blah, blah. Okay, so basically, if you're not aware of what you're doing and where you are, or paying attention to what's going on, you're tunneling, you're focusing on your numbers because numbers matter, which they don't, to a point. You might stand next too close to the orb, it focuses on you, blows up on you, and all of a sudden you got a wipe because there's a big lava pool in the middle of the raid. Or, for example, you're not sure what your surroundings are, you're sitting there hammering away on the boss, obelisks fire off, and you're dead. Always knowing what's going on around you, so that you don't make those simple mistakes. Awareness, okay? You can't really teach awareness. It's something that has to be practiced, okay? Even during LFR or anything. Pay attention to your surroundings. That's really what's going on with awareness. Know what's going on as far as what your guild is doing for mechanics. Okay, during this percentage, we're going to be doing this, blah, 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 blah. And knowing, okay, the boss is at this phase, be prepared for this. And at the same time, being able to push steady numbers. Oftentimes people get mistaken, oh, I'm not pushing top-end numbers, I'm a terrible raider. Wrong. That's totally wrong. Numbers, to a point, because again, you have to have DPS to kill a boss. Numbers don't always matter. If you survive, you're killing the boss. If you're dead, you're not doing anything. You can't kill the boss when you're dead. So stay alive, do enough damage. That's all that matters. This next point I want to talk about to me, it is one of the most important things you can have with a raid group. It's your attendance. If you have people showing up some weeks rather than other weeks, it's really hard to gel. It's really hard to fit together as far as cohesion. And for example, you are running a raid group, you're funneling gear, right, to specific players, because a lot of times people will funnel gear to their DPS raiders, because the faster you kill a boss, the less time you have to worry about a mechanic or whatever, and the faster you kill your boss next time. If you have people kind of coming and going, that really can screw up your raid group, because if you're having to pug people, you're constantly have to reteach your fights. You're having to slow down your progression because you're having to reteach your fights, and there's going to be people making mistakes. Now I understand that like stuff happens to where you're not going to be able to make a raid, which shit, that happens all the time. But you've got to let people know so they have time to prepare, to contact a friend, contact people they know. Gives them a little more time to prepare. And your raid group they're still going to suffer because you're not there. But I mean, you've got to handle real life first, but at the same time, you've got to let people know. So, for example, people are online waiting for you. It's already 20 minutes into the raid time, and you're not there. Now they have to scramble to try to find somebody. So, try to make your raids. In our guilds, we always try to push at least a 90% attendance, because you make progression that way. Not all guilds have that, but still, if you are in a guild that's worth a shit, they should have some sort of attendance policy. And I mean, they could be little things like, hey, if you're not going to make a raid, you need to let me know. Or, for example, the hardcore guilds, during progression, you're either there or you're replaced. Doesn't matter. And finally, the last thing I want to talk about is your self-evaluation. If you're not paying attention to the little things that you do during a raid, whether it's good or bad, and making adjustments, you're not really ever going to grow as a player. For example, I remember my early days of raiding. I sucked. I was the noobiest of the noob. I was a holy paladin going into Naxxramas 25 manas, thinking I could tank. Wrong. So wrong. Donald Trump button. Wrong. Okay? It's those little things that was a big no-no. I luckily had somebody who could guide me and tell me, okay, you're a freaking idiot. This is what you need to do. Now, not every situation's like that. Even now, like I go into raids, like, oh, I need to position myself better during this mechanic because, for example, kill Jane again, I'm slightly in the way of the guy who is getting our orb to being able to kite it to where it needs to be. I need to fix that. Or, okay, this is where I positioned myself during this fight, and it worked out really well to where I could still funnel the boss, and I'm not going to interfere with any mechanics. Okay, it's just finding those little things that you are doing throughout a raid that you either change, adjust, or stick to because it worked, that help you grow as a raider. And that was my video for today. I hope you all liked it. For you guys catching it later on YouTube, if you enjoy the video I made, hit that like, hit that share, subscribe. And I'll see you guys next week on episode 2. Laters.